Hey everyone! As you have seen in my last video, I picked up a doll set from Mia and me at my latest flea market visit. Although they came in a very good used condition, I always decide to wash all my purchases before I add them to my collection. And because this Alicorn that is called Onchao has some electrical features which are kind of complicated to clean, I decided to make a video out of the process. So let's get started. Most of the time it is a sign that the batteries didn't leak if they still work. So I decided to not wear gloves while I got the batteries out. The batteries that I used for this are called LR44 and these are the most common batteries that I know that are used in these kind of toys. And there are 3 of them needed. They are really tight inside, so they wouldn't just fall out if I simply turned Onchao upside down. As you can see, the producers created a small hole on the sides, so you are able to get the batteries out with a tool for that reason. Having a closer look at the batteries, you can see they don't look very fresh anymore. There are tiny white crumbles all around at the rim, and that means although they still worked, they already began leaking. At first I'm choosing some vinegar essence that I filled up in these tiny bottles and apply it to a cotton swab. With the help of that I'm getting everything out that doesn't belong there. And vinegar essence neutralizes the acid from the batteries. The next step is to get some isopropanol, which is also called rubbing alcohol, and I saturated another cotton swab with it and wiped everything inside the compartment. The rubbing alcohol is supposed to get rid of all the residue from the vinegar essence. And of course, don't forget the lid. With the dry side of the cotton swab, I get the leftover liquid out of there. Since Onchao has so many open entrances in his plastic body and since he's not that dirty overall, I take some disinfectant wipes and clean the whole body with that beforehand. The remaining residue of the disinfectant can be swiped off with the damp cloth afterwards. There are cute hair clips stuck in his mane. They have to be taken off. Well, I thought it is easier to get them loose with the help of a screwdriver bit that I had laying around there. There was a translucent rubber band wrapped around his tail. I took that off as well. I think this one has been there so it could protect the hair from being pulled out. As I got a closer look inside, I assume that the tail is made out of one long strand of hair that is wrapped around a plastic piece inside the plastic part of the tail, like as if it were threaded into an eyelet. So while washing, I'm going to be extra careful to not accidentally pulling all the hair out. After that, I put Onchao to the side for a little bit. I am not finished with his preparing yet, but before I continue with him, I am going to get all the tiny pieces off of the dolls as well. They don't have any electronic features also, so I don't have to check any batteries on them. I only need to take off their accessories and their clothes. The hole on Mia's hand should hold a tiny ring. I purchased her without it, so it was not me who lost it. I have to be very careful with the tiny hair clips though, not just because they can get lost very easily, but the plastic is very thin. I can see the potential in them to break very easily. And the butterfly accessory is permanently attached to her head. It is not meant to be taken off, so I'm going to leave it where it is. Mia has some beautiful red rubber bands in her hair. So I'm going to give them a wipe as well and reuse them later on, because they are also in a very good condition and I don't see any reason to get rid of them. Yuko's hairband is transparent and not in a very good condition. So I'm going to replace this one with the new one. It is a little bit more difficult to get it off of her hair than it was with Mia. Yeah, the reason for that is that Yuko has some stencils weaved in that are slightly knotted. Her shoes are interesting. They are secured with a transparent rubber band around her knees. Well, to take them off, I first had to get the rubber band off of the upper part of the shoes and wrapped them around her leg, just like some strange spaghetti. Since Mo has solid hair, I didn't have to mess around with that. I asked myself how they attached the necklace to him, since I can't open it or pull it over his head. Well, it is going to stay there then. His trousers gave me a hard time though. The clothes are made out of a quite good material and the fitting is very nice, but his feet are flat and the fabric is not elastic, so I had to really wiggle around a lot to get them finally off. It is also interesting that he doesn't got some Velcro to open his pants, like Mia and Yuko's clothes have. His pants got a suit in elastic band, which worked fine. It was just the feet that gave me struggle. And what I think is also funny, the manufacturer didn't color in his underwear. He clearly wears some, but they are not painted like the ones from the other two dolls. Maybe they didn't think anyone would be able to ever take his pants off ever again. Okay, now to the last preparation work for Onchao. I need to wash his mane and his tail that are made of hair to get it clean. I absolutely don't want any liquids to get anywhere inside his body. So I need some cling film, scissors and some tape. The tape is helping me to get the cling film stuck to the Alicorn and it creates a barrier at all the places where the cling film and the plastic connect to each other. If you wiped it down nicely beforehand, the tape should stick to the plastic very well. I also use some higher quality tape, which doesn't let any stickiness back as soon as I take it off again. Of course, I can't tape every opening of Onchao close, especially not the area in which his mane is threaded in. To prevent the water of getting inside there, I'm going to hold him upside down the whole time washing him. Okay, the preparation is done. Let's head on into the bathroom. To clean his hair, I use some ordinary hand washing soap. To make it easier to brush through, you can take any conditioner of your choice, and for brushing through the hair, I take a Monster High Dolls brush. I really took care that I never turn him around the whole time, although the urge is huge to just position him otherwise. But if I did so, the water would have dripped inside, which I absolutely wanted to avoid. Luckily, there are no tangles and no matting anywhere, so I could even brush through the hair with one hand. If there were more knots there, I would recommend to have a second person to help out. Although there were not many knots, I got some of the hair out and yeah, well, let's say a lot. But well, it is not that much that it is going to be noticeable later. Of course, I'm going to throw everything into the bin, so nothing is going to get down the drain. Mo's the easiest one to clean. I could make it happen just by using the soap and a cloth. And water, of course. As soon as I have finished Yuko, I separated the longer hair strands that are not supposed to get back into the ponytail. To wash the clothes and the accessories, I paired similar colors to prevent any accidents if there might be any possible color leaking. For those, I also just use the hand washing soap. To let them dry, I placed them on a big towel. Onchao still has to be placed upside down. The tiny accessories I placed together, so I wouldn't mix them up. The next day, everything dried completely. Although the hair looks a little bit strange still, it will change as soon as you brush it out. I put Mia's clothes back on, and I also put the red rubber bands and her tiny hair clips that I wiped off camera off back to her hair. And this is how she looks now after the washing process. To recreate Yuko's hairstyle, I only used one rubber band instead of the two ones she had in her hair before. I don't think it looks less good as before. Without the knots in the tensils and all cleaned up, I think she's better in the end. Yeah, and although I washed her, she had still a black stain on her arm that wouldn't come off. So to get rid of something like this, I take a smudgy eraser. I make it a little bit damp with some ordinary water and then I erase. This way the stain came off very easily. To get the spaghetti shoes back on, I wrapped them back on like an old telephone cable around a finger. Yeah, I think she looks better now. Putting Mo's pants back on was just as much as a struggle as it was to get them off. I feel very sorry for the workers in the factory who have to put these pants on the dolls in large numbers. Or maybe I'm not very talented in dressing up dolls. Yeah, nevertheless, Mo is the most unspectacular makeover one. Well, he practically looks exactly the same as before, but now he is clean. Lastly, Onchao. Before I can brush his hair, I have to get rid of the cling film first. It was the easiest to just make some cuts with my scissors here and there and then unravel everything. It might be the case that somehow some water drops got underneath everything, but don't worry about that, just have something to dry it laying around to wipe it away. If there's even soap somewhere, just take a damp cloth and wipe everything with that as well. I wrapped everything so tight that there was no water anywhere and no soap. One of his hair strands stood up funnily. To handle that, I grabbed my trusted anti-frizz solution for human hair. You can take any anti-frizz cream that you like. It doesn't have to be this exact one. Yeah, and I put a good amount of it into all of his hair. After it dries, it smells nice and the hair feels very smooth regardless. After I also put his tiny hair clips back, I integrated all of them into my collection. Yeah, and that's it for this video. I hope you like what you've seen. Have a nice day and till the next one.